My name is Vinny J, and I'm a compulsive gambler. My last bet was August 2nd, 1982. And prior to that, I gambled every day of my life. I gambled for well over 40 years. And sorry to say, I loved every minute of it. I enjoyed gambling. That's all I knew, work and gamble. That's all I ever knew. I came in this program because a bookmaker wouldn't give me a bet. I couldn't borrow any more money from Shylocks or banks or anybody. That word was out that I was a deadbeat. I came to this program because I was forced to come. My wife says either you go to Gamblers Anonymous for help or we call it quits. And I didn't want no part of that. So I came to this Gamblers Anonymous, and I thought I'd stay a little while and tell my wife, everything is all right. I'm not going to gamble no more. And I thought I'd be able to do this. But it didn't work out that way. I was coming to Gamblers Anonymous. I was going to every meeting. Because my wife was going, I had to go along with her and show her that I was there. And I kept going. And for some reason or other, they talked me into a pressure relief. I didn't want nobody. I didn't want nobody, nobody to tell me who I should pay and who I shouldn't pay. I didn't want no part of that. And my wife was going to Gamanon. And every time she came home, she says, Gamanon told me that you should be doing this, and I should be doing that. And I used to yell back, what the hell are you going to that room for? They're poisoning your mind. You don't want to go there. But she kept going. And then she got in touch with some of the men in Gamblers Anonymous, and they got a hold of me. And they said, your wife tells us that you're not giving her the check. And I says, that's right. And he says, you got to give her the check. So I finally gave in, and I started giving her the check. And she was putting money away. And it was going deeper and deeper. And money to me only meant chips to play with. Money never meant anything else to me, just so I could gamble. All I wanted to do was break out even every day so I could have some more money to gamble with tomorrow. And that's all I looked forward to. And I was doing this. And I was losing and losing. And finally, I came to Gamblers Anonymous. When I came in here, my wife was great on envelopes, putting money away into the envelopes. And I never did that. I used to give her just X amount of dollars out of my paycheck, and the rest was for gambling. And who was I supporting? I was supporting the bookmakers, the Shylocks, the banks, the tracks. That's all I was supporting. Never did I say to my wife, here's an extra $1, here's an extra $10, go buy yourself a new dress. Kids for the shoes, I never gave her extra money for kids for shoes or clothes. My wife was working, I guess she was buying the kids' clothes. As long as I was able to gamble, I was happy. Before Atlantic City opened up, I used to go to Vegas, Tahoe. I gambled in Reno. I didn't go every week. I maybe once, twice a year. That's all I ever went. But when Atlantic City opened up, I was going there 2 and 3 times a month with everybody else's money and my money, but mostly everybody else's money. I was taking illegal numbers, and I was doing pretty good with that. I was doing over $1,000 a week, and $300 was mine. 30% of that was mine. and I'd piss it away. I'd even, when the bookmaker had to get his 700 or 800, whatever it was, I didn't have it. Atlantic City had it. Shylock's had it. The bookmakers, whoever I was gambling with, they had it. And my son, my oldest son, he went to Arizona, and I don't even remember saying goodbye to him. But when I came into this program in 1982, my son was already out in Arizona. I think he left either late 79 or early 80, I don't remember. But anyway, I came into the program in 1982, and I was going to meetings, and my wife would be talking to my son every Sunday. And I'd be sitting there with my head between my legs, hoping that he'd ask for me, see how I'm doing. It never happened. I brought it into the room, and the guy says, "Why don't you write him a letter?" I says, "Holy God, why the hell didn't I think of that?" So I wrote him a letter. No response. And I started to make excuses. It got lost in the mail. I had the wrong address. All kinds of excuses. And I brought it back into the room, and the same guy said to me, "Write him another letter." I wrote him another letter. No response. In the meantime, he was talking to his mother every Sunday. And I says, well, I guess he doesn't want to have nothing to do with me anymore. If this is the way he wants it, this is the way it's got to be. A couple of weeks went by. It was a Sunday morning. I got on the phone. And I said to myself, what the hell could he do? Hang up on me? Other people hung up on me. Why can't he hang up on me? So anyway, I called. And I said, "Hiya, Michael, this is your father. Happy birthday." The best investment I ever made in my life. We started to talk. Not about anything, but little things. And we said goodbye. And the following week, he talked to his mother again. And I says, I'd like to talk to him. So I got back on the phone. We chatted a little bit more. And said goodbye. And every Sunday, for the last couple of weeks, that's what we were doing. So this one Sunday, he says, let me talk to him. Didn't call me by name. Didn't call me Dad. Let me talk to him. I got on the phone. We chatted a little bit. And he said to me, when the hell are you coming out here? And I said, holy shit. He's asking me to come out there. And I hollered on the phone, next week. We made the next day. We got onto the telephone, called the airline, and my wife and I went out there. We stayed 2 weeks. We had a good time. Never talked about gambling. Never talked about what was happened before. We went out to dinner, went golfing. He took us around Arizona, took us all over. The following year, I went out there again with my wife, and we stayed a month. And we had another good time. He got married at the time. Now he's got a wife, and he had a place for me and my wife. And we have been going out there now for the last couple of years. From 1985 or 84, I don't remember. I guess it was 85, up until my wife got sick and we couldn't go out there no more. She couldn't travel. And then she passed away, and the following year I went. And I've been going ever since. My son, he wrote me a letter one time on Father's Day. And it was the 19 years that he called me Dad. I couldn't believe it. Because when we were going out, he was always calling me by my nickname. Now he calls me Dad. Why? Because of this program. This program is the most wonderful thing that ever occurred to me in my life. When I got caught gambling again, after remortgaging my house, I didn't give a damn whether I lived or died. Because I knew I was nothing else but a scumbag when I was gambling. Today, I'm a human being. I go to meetings, and I go to 3 and 4 or 5 meetings a week. But I know I have to make at least 2 or 3 because I know what I'm capable of doing. I always have to remind myself where I was and where I am today. This is what I live for. I have grandchildren today. I have daughter-in-laws today. And I have my 2 sons and my wife back home. There's nothing I will not do for this program. I survive, and when I got into this program, it's time for me to give back. What I received from this program, I want to give it to other people because it brought me back my family. It brought me back all the good things that I should have been having all these years. And it's the best. I'm in this program now 30 years. And it's the best 30 years of my life. Since then, my wife passed away in 2011. And I miss her so. She's the one that kept this family together. Without her, I wouldn't be here where I am today. But we're surviving. I'm doing the best I can. And I keep going to meetings. And I talk to people. Try to help them as much as I can. I'm 90 years old today. I get around with 2 canes. People help me. People in the program. They take care of me. And they take me to meetings. They take me to mini conferences. Wherever there's some activity going with Gambling Anonymous, I'm there. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back. I don't know why, but all these years I still have tears in my eyes.
It's an emotional thing.
What I caused.
I have a question or two.
Go ahead.
Tell us what it was like that very first meeting that you went to.
The first meeting I went to, I wasn't crazy about it. I just didn't want a whole part of it. I just wanted to get out of there because I did not expect the help from these people than what I got. I never expected it. But my wife kept pushing. You gotta go, otherwise we call it quits. And I didn't want to lose my family. And this is why I say, if it wasn't for her, this would never be possible.
So when you went into that first meeting, what was it like? What did they tell you?
I listened, and that first guy that spoke, and I listened to him, and he said things that I've done, and I say to myself, holy shit, there can't be two of us like this. And then, after he finished his therapy, they clapped for him. And I says, what the hell are they clapping for him? He's a scumbag like me. Then the next guy that got up, and he spoke, and I related to him. And when I listened to him, I says, this has got to be a setup. There can't be three of us like this. And as the night went by, I related to every one of them. Every one of them I related to. And I said to myself, I started to feel good about, inside of me, I started to feel good. Not because that these guys that were in trouble like me. I was happy to find out that I wasn't the only loser in the world. There were other people like me. And this is when I started to realize that it's not only me. And then I thought they started to tell me, this is a sickness. This is a sickness. And I didn't believe it was an illness. I believed it because I wanted to gamble, but I couldn't stop. That's when I realized it was a sickness.
And how old were you when you first went into GA?
I was 60 years old when I came into this program, and I didn't want nobody telling me what to do. They were all younger than me. And these whippersnappers are telling me what I should be doing. And the longer I went into those rooms, the more I listened, the more I found out that these young whippersnappers knew a hell of a lot more about life than I did because they were in the program much longer than I was. And I started to listen. And this is what brought me around.
And when you were gambling, what were some of the things that you did that had an impact on your family's life?
I was never home. On weekends, I'd come home, take a shower, inhale my dinner, and off I went. To the crap games, to the card games, to the tracks, wherever I wanted to go. And I wouldn't come back until Sunday night. I was away the whole weekend. Weekend after weekend. And this is the way I led. Why my wife ever stuck with me is beyond me. But she must have knew there was something there. And when it came out, she was the happiest woman in the world.
And tell us about how you remortgaged the house.
When I went, I told my wife that we're in trouble. And all of a sudden she yelled out, what the hell are you talking about, we? It was never we before. It was always you. Now it's we. She asked me how much I was in hock for. And I gave her a ridiculous number. So I says, the only way we get out of this mess is we got to remortgage the house. She didn't want no part of that. For a whole week, I was asking her, please, please. I never begged for anything in my life. Either I bought something or I stole it, but I never begged for nothing. And here I am begging my wife to sign a piece of paper so I can remortgage my house. I don't know what I said that Sunday night that changed her mind. And I don't care what I said, but she did change her mind, and we went to remortgage the house. When we went there, the guy says to me, he welcomed and he says, what can I do for you? And I says, we'd like to remortgage the house. So he put us at a table and started talking, pulled my file down, and he looked at it, and he says, if you pay the rest of the mortgage, we'll lend you as much as you want. I says, what in the hell do I want to remortgage, pay this mortgage off? I got it under the GI Bill. I'm paying 5.5 or 5.75. I don't remember what it was. And it says, it's the only way we can lend it to you. You got to pay off this mortgage, then we lend you. I says to the guy, I didn't say to him, my wife says to him, what's the rate? I knew the rate was high. So the guy said 15%. I thought she was going to go through the ceiling. I thought she was going to kill the whole deal, but she didn't. I didn't care if they charged me 20%. Give me the goddamn money. That's all I wanted. And sure enough, we went through with it. We signed papers. I didn't know what the hell I was signing. And before that, he asked me how much I wanted. And I had everything down on a piece of paper. I knew exactly who I owed, how much I needed. So I gave him the number, and my wife looked at me like she was going to kill it again. And I just put my finger to my lips, and I said, let it be. When we went outside in White Plains on American Avenue, people were walking up and down. It was like 42nd Street. And I knew she was going to hit me. Why did I ask for so much money? I had the check in my pocket. I didn't care what I said, but I told her the truth. I says, because I lied again. But when we get home, I'll show you everybody I owe money to. We went home and I showed her the whole list. And it was right on the button. She was making out checks to credit cards, banks, and I was out in the street paying off the bookmakers, the Shylocks, and the people that I owed money to. It wasn't 2 days later, on a weekend, a Saturday, Notre Dame is playing Michigan. Never did I watch a ball game without a bet, never. And I said to myself, what in the hell is a 10-time bet? What's the most I can lose, $55? Who the hell is going to know about $55? I made that bet. I lost it. I chased that $55 for 7 months until I was right back in the soup, plus. And when she found out about it, all hell broke loose. And that week, or 2 weeks later, whatever it was, that's when she came home and said, there's help for you out there. Here's a telephone number. I didn't want no telephone number. I didn't want to let nobody know what the hell I did. But anyway, I finally made that phone call, and this gentleman that I cursed out over the phone, He gave us the address. We went to the pagoda to a meeting, and this is how it all started. And I'm very grateful for what happened after that. Everything came into place, and this is why I'm here today.
Tell us about your relationship with your son when you were gambling.
When I was gambling, my sons, both of them knew what I was doing, and I wasn't paying attention to them. They stopped calling me Dad when they were in their young teens, and I didn't care, for the simple reason the less I had to do with them, the better off I could do whatever the hell I wanted to do, and that's what was occurring. My oldest son was working for the DA's office, and I was working as a part-time bartender in one of the restaurants in my town. And somebody in the kitchen was selling drugs, and that's who they were after. But I had the phone. I was by the bar, and around 6 o'clock, I'd make my bets, and they were tapping it. They weren't looking for me. They were looking for the guy that was selling the drugs. But anyway, the boss found out about it, and he took the phone away from the bar, and I wasn't able to use that phone. But when somebody in the DA's office found out about it, I guess, I don't know how they found out, they told my son, you better move out of your father's house because they got the phones tapped at the restaurant, and they know a lot about what your father was doing. And my son had to move out. And he was mad. So one day, I needed money fast. I needed a couple of $1,000. And I asked him for it. And he knew what it was for. And the next day, he brought the money over to me. It was during the week. This weekend, it was a Saturday, I was on the phone with the bookmakers, and he walked into the house, and I didn't hear him come in, and he heard me talking to the bookmakers and making bets. And he turned around and he said, you son of a bitch, you just borrowed X amount of dollars on me, and you're still gambling. You paid them off, now you're back in action. And we cursed each other. We almost came to blows. And I said to him, you'll have your goddamn money tomorrow. And sure enough, I went to Shylock's. I went to a couple of Shylock's, got money, and gave him what I borrowed. And that's where it all started, that he wasn't talking to me and I wasn't talking to him. And then he went to Arizona. And like I said, I don't even remember saying goodbye to him. And this is the relationship we had until I got into the program, and it took a little time. It took almost a year before we start talking again. And it's all due to this program.
And so you've been in the program 30 years. How would you compare that? You're 90 years old now. How would you compare that over your life?
There is no comparison. It's the best 30 years I had in my life. I was married to my wife 63 years before she passed away. And out of the 63 years, 30 years were good times. We were human. We talked to each other. We talked about what's going on in the family. We talked about our kids, our grandkids. went to parties together, went to weddings together, went to wakes together. I didn't watch a ball game, and I'm very sports-minded, for close to a year and a half after I came into this program. On weekends, where all the action was, my wife and I would go Statue of Liberty. I never was stopped at the Statue of Liberty. We stopped at the Empire State Building. Never went up the second floor. Always at the Empire Bar, where I'd meet people. There's no comparison at all. This is the life that I threw away for most of my years with my wife. But we made up for it. Even if it was for one day. And I was lucky to get 30 years out of it. Thank you.
One last question. For somebody that thinks they're too young or too old to come into GA, what would you say to them?
That's never too old. The sooner you come in, yes, the better it is. But it takes some people more time than others. I know a guy that came in at 70 years old, and he was very happy. He passed away, yes, he passed away after 14 or 15 years into the program. But he was another happy guy, 70 years old, and we'd be going to meetings together. We'd go to prison meetings together. And this is what Gamblers Anonymous done for people like us that want to get better. And the only way you can get better is be listening to what the people in GA tell you, what they learned from other people, and to go by their rules. And that's the only way you could make it. They say meetings make it. Yes. Without the meetings, you're never going to survive. And this is what we have to go through. Thank you.